So did you guys see what happened with Hasan in China? He went to Tiananmen Square, the most Tiananmen of all the squares. And while he was over there, he was streaming like some live stream, which he does, of course. And while he was doing this live stream, somebody takes out a meme of Chairman Mao, the best chairman of them all, of course. And after taking out this meme of Chairman Mao, the authorities, the police, come and they swarm Hasan. Now, there's a bunch of clips in this stream that's interesting, and there's a few things I'd want to point out. For example, at one point, Hasan looks at a bunch of different Chinese cops, and he sees that they have fire extinguishers. Like, yo, why do all these Chinese cops have fire extinguishers? And the reason is because there's been so many cases of self-immolation, of people lighting themselves on fire, like that guy did during the Gaza bombardment, the Gaza destruction, the terror, destruction of Gaza. I don't know. You can call it many, many like horrific things. Um, During that, he went out there and he decided that lighting himself on fire would be the best thing to do in his military uniform, and it got a lot of attention. But even though that shocked a lot of people, it is actually not a pretty uncommon protest tactic. It has been done in North Africa, it has been done in Southeast Asia, and it has also been done in China. And so the Chinese actually have fire extinguishers on standby for that scenario, an Aaron Bushnell scenario. His name was Aaron Bushnell. So I think that there's a lot of stuff from the stream that you could take. That's probably about everyday normal China, that good cultural exchange. So I'm not like inherently against Hasan going to China, which maybe is going to surprise a few people for me to say, like, I'm not against him going to China. But I would just hope that if you were to go to China, especially as somebody who's going to China as an American, you would want to not insult the country, but also not put pillows on your fists and come here and just kind of look at the whole country with rose tinted glasses. And you would hope that a streamer would not do that. And Hasan is being quite open about what happened, but the way that he talks about it is, I think, interesting. And I wanted to take a view here. Let's start with the instance here. By the way, the main reason I want to look at this is I'm fascinated about the idea of live streamers doing more and more and more, Western live streamers, more and more content in China, especially if they're going to be looking down streamers' throats like this, because it's going to rub a lot of people the wrong way. There'll be some people that go out there and will just say like, yes, sir, no, sir, anytime, they click their boots together. But most streamers, I don't think, want to do that, especially if that spills out into their public persona. And part of their public persona is supposed to be the idea of independence, of this idea of being uncontrolled, this idea of I'm genuine, I'm authentic, you cannot control me. Let's watch the instance in question where Chairman Mao's meme required them to not just interrupt the stream, the Chinese authorities. His stream was down for for a period of time. It was like roughly 10 minutes.
Roger, you seen this? Oh yeah. Look, yeah.
How quick was that? That's so impressive. How quick was that? That was less than 10 seconds. That was roughly 5 to 7 seconds between meme deployed and police force deployed. Very, very short period. Man, that was quick.
Okay.
OK，要看直播的东西是吗？
对，我看一眼刚你那 photo。
So you want to see the photo?
Oh, I didn't take a photo. 就是刚才他录那个，让他找出来。
So have you recorded anything?
No, not yet. No, 我都看见了。
Yeah, he said he's
直播还是什么呀？ Oh, I was holding the.
Man, I gotta say, this is such a strange experience because in Ukraine, like, It's not that I've never had strange instances of censorship. I'm gonna list to you guys right now in real time all the instances of censorship that I've faced in Ukraine. The first instance of censorship was I remember when I was doing a video on Serbernitsky Force. It was in the Luhansk region, and the Luhansk region has been vastly occupied for a very, very long period of time. And the Russians have recently taken the last bits of the Luhansk region to fully occupy it 100%. But the Serbernitsky Force was just like one area that where you could still enter if you were you had the if you had the mental inclination to do so, and you could film and you could do a bunch of work over there if you were lucky enough to get in. Very few got in. I was one of the few people to get in. I was very happy about it. I was very happy about that. I was very thankful to Burvi for bringing me in to do that. But afterwards, when I was like trying to get a video released, they didn't say censor this midway point. All the locational blurring I did, they said was good. It was take out the section where they say that we use mines because that's against international law. And that's when I would call somebody being like a trench lawyer, right? That's not, hey, this is somebody coming out and telling you this is the regulations where we need to save people's lives, because that's what the censorship is supposed to be. The censorship in the system of the press officers is supposed to be for one thing, and that is to remove anything that could get somebody hurt, locational data or something that could get Ukrainian soldiers killed, right? Or civilians killed. Operational security. That isn't a question of operational security. Technically speaking, I could have filmed one of their soldiers actually like going out there and doing the most horrific war crime, and they would have no grounds to tell me to remove the footage, right? And I wouldn't remove the footage. And so I told them very bluntly that I would not remove it because it is not, it's not related to anything that, number one, is even illegal under Ukrainian law because they're not part of those treaties to begin with. But number two, everybody knows about it. And number three, this is not an operational security issue. I would understand if it was like a secret that mines were there was a new technology, the mine, but it wasn't. And so they relented. Sometimes I'll have to censor something that I'm like, that's not super important, but I'll just do it because it's not that important. Like I censored a vehicle, I blurred it, that was burnt out, and that they said that could be used to like track the route of where we were going. I didn't 100% believe it, but I did it anyway because it was there wasn't 100. I wasn't 100% sure that they were just bullshitting me. So I was like, if I have 1% belief that they could be possibly telling the truth here, then I have to do it. That's the one instance. And recently, there was when I was publishing my Pokrov's documentary. There's a section when I'm talking to an artillery team where the artillery commander, and they allowed a lot and they didn't flag a lot in the documentary. In that documentary, you hear a lot of really slagging off of the payment system, of soldiers getting screwed out of bonuses, of all this stuff. But the only thing that they actually flagged was an artillery commander specifically saying that there's a huge divide with command. They don't understand them, that the command used to come out to position and like say, this is where you should camouflage, this is where you shouldn't camouflage. They used to care a lot more, and now they don't. They don't come out. They told him to take a position that you couldn't even put camouflage up in. The trees did not cover the position. There's no understanding with command. And that was something where it was like, I don't know about if we should keep this in. Now, I'm not going to discuss all the specific reasons why, but it didn't seem to be around security stuff. And so ultimately I decided to keep it in because it was a question where I asked him, what's the worst part of being in like the Ukrainian armed forces? And he said that unprompted. I didn't say, hey, complain about your boss to get yourself in trouble. I said that, and his thing was, I don't like how the new command is. And we included it because if we didn't include it, then that would not be telling the truth. And so ultimately we kept that in there and we rejected that edit request. Those are the only instances. And I don't even know how faux pas it is to talk about this openly, but I'm doing it because I just want to give the comparison of where I'm coming from. Those are the only times that I've had censor requests. The type of meme that they're showing is the type of meme that I get often showed by soldiers in the trenches. In fact, the types of memes that I get shown sometimes by soldiers in the trenches are, let's just say, a little bit further out there in the level of offense of things that could create a PR crisis. I remember there was one that's literally, the meme is, and somebody might link this to me in the chat. Somebody might link this to me. It was a reporter coming up with a microphone, a press helmet. It was a Wojak, a reporter woman, and then there was like a normal Ukrainian soldier. It was like, yes, the Russians' statements that we are Nazis is ridiculous. We are defending our land. And then like Igor comes in and he's like wearing like an SS cap and he's got like a million different like different edgy like fashy patches and he's like, Igor, not now. Igor, go away. And the reason they're laughing is a lot of these guys were laughing at it. I assume we can't say this for everybody, but a lot of the reason they were laughing at it is because for them a lot of it was a joke. Like the idea of like, oh, the Russians say we're Nazis. Yes, I'm Goebbels. And it would be like a Jewish Ukrainian in a trench, right? For other people, a minority, but those people also do exist. It's less of a joke. But for the majority of people, it is, and so they would joke about it quite openly and say stuff that's an obvious PR disaster considering the type of commentary that's been put out there. But it's not like the press officer can make me remove it. They could be like, "Hey, buddy, you know, it'd be really nice." But ultimately, it's my decision, and so if I cannot reasonably corner myself that it's operational security stuff, we try to include it. We try to include it. If we think it is important to the story, if we think it is important to the story, then we include it. Anyway, back to this. Sorry, I got distracted a little bit, but I was just comparing my experience with theirs.
Camera out, but I didn't do anything yet.
那个手机放那个背景图。
对，拿手机弄一背景，那是什么东西？把它打出来。叫 recording。刚才那个背景。
So he wants to see the background of your
Of my phone?
Yeah. Sure. Or like a live show or
Other phone. Oh. Another.
They're having to show them the meme. They're reporting their meme to the official. Oh, and we're doing secret memes. We'll be right back. They're reporting their meme to the official meme police to be expected, to be reviewed for resuming a broadcast.
But my internet is not so good. Okay, we'll come back. Okay.
The internet on your phone isn't good?
We're back.
We're just waiting for Will to get out of the bathroom now.
Okay, so what do I take away from this? Okay, so honestly, a lot of the personalistic stuff around personalized stuff or personality based stuff around Hasan, I care less about. I am still much more interested, much more interested about what this means for streamers operating in China or more people going to China. Look, China's rise is not a secret anymore. Their rise economically, their rise when it comes to tourism, their rise when it comes to like global cinema and international stars and the tech world. Like this is not something that is like actively happening. They have already risen and they are continuing to rise in some areas. Other areas, when you talk about like, the housing market, when you talk about like the debt crisis, you know, China's not a perfect country. It's not this paradise as some people might portray, but China has come a very, very long way. And so that means many people are going to come to China. They're going to visit it for tourist reasons. They're going to visit it for business reasons. I know a lot of Ukrainians that go to China to do business. I know people who want to go to China for touristic reasons. iShowSpeed is probably the highest profile example of a streamer going to China. And that was a fantastic soft power cultural diplomacy for the Chinese. And it was really good, like cultural exchange. China was presented in a very respectful manner. Why iShowSpeed could be a little ridiculous at times. He seemed to show people like an actual view of China, an actual view of Chinese people that was human, that was nice. And so to compare that, and mind you, the iShowSpeed attempt to stream in China came with a lot of speed bumps, a lot of him engaging with like Shaolin's kind of like scammer people that were wasting his time a little bit. I don't want to call them scammer people because I don't know enough about it, but I know enough about it to know that he was wasting his time and his stream was bad, and people were not showing him really the actual Shaolin temple. They were showing him a bunch of nonsense, and so he had some bumps in that road, but ultimately it ended up being a positive thing for China. It ended up being a positive thing for Speed, and it ended up being a positive thing for the cultural relations and, you know, the public diplomacy of both peoples. You know, maybe not necessarily of, you know, our governments, but of public diplomacy for sure. And so that was iShowSpeed's experience. Now, Hasan, I don't know if this is a question about whether or not Hasan did something here that, you know, IShowSpeed had the like broadcaster's intelligence not to do when it comes to, you know, showing a meme or doing something suspicious. Because honestly, I think that IShowSpeed probably would not be like going out there too much with like political memes around Mao or stuff like that, just because that's not the type of creator he is. That's not the type of comedy he proliferates himself in. I don't think like Hasan did anything on purpose, obviously. I just think that him being a political content creator, him being in China, him probably seeing, you know, tons of examples of Mao and, you know, his influence, you know, that topic's possibly going to come up. Somebody posts a meme. You know, in the States, he's used to just being able to show any meme, talk about anything. Everything's okay to talk about. You know, I mean, this is the guy who got banned off of Twitch for saying what he said about 9/11, but he didn't get disappeared. He got banned. He got like suspended for a week. So he's going from one completely different broadcaster culture, performance culture, free speech culture, all the way over to China. And he just shows this meme, a meme that's not even meant to offend the Chinese government or offend anybody. It's just a meme about Mao. But because he's a foreigner, he's a popular foreigner, the Chinese government are keeping an eye out for anything that could make them look bad. And their inability to just kind of wait and see, because if they just would have waited and saw and just waited, like, because they responded so quick to him showing something on screen. They didn't wait to see what it was on the screen and like review the footage and like we can pick him up in a few minutes. It's not like Hasan can run anywhere. It's not like he's gonna make a great escape through like the Chinese sewer system or something. They could just pick him up later. But no, they just right on him. Right on him. Which I gotta say is gonna be a very jolting experience for somebody who's always lived at the edge of speech when it comes to his political commentary and the criticism of the establishment, so to speak. I don't know if we're going to say completely lived at the edge of speech, but he is what you would say is a political outsider. He's somebody who critiques the political establishment and has said things that are pretty unbelievably edgy in comparison to the political mainstream in our country, and he's been allowed to do it. And so, you know, this is a very different environment. But if China is going to be jumping on people like this, I mean, this was hyper aggressive. Again, it was like 8 seconds and they were on his ass. They are looking out in these public appearances. But the more that they do stuff like this, on one hand, they feel that they have the situation under control. And by doing stuff like this, they might be more willing to allow more cultural exchange and performers coming over. But their hyper obsession with control and being able to basically not like directly choreograph your movements across the country, but choreograph you away from any topic that could be too off of the, let's just say, you know, the golden path of PR relations, HR relations here. Then they're gonna jump in, and they jumped in quick. And this does more damage to their reputation than if they would have just waited like literally 30 seconds to look at the phone. Like literally just 30 seconds. Dylan, did you see Hasan's commentary after the incident? We do actually have some things pulled up of that. Because I don't really have too much critique for Hasan in this clip. He basically did everything he could have. Maybe he could have commented at the time when the stream came back on, like immediately, this is what happened. Let me give you the details. That's something that I would do. But considering he gave the details at a later time, I mean, that's not really like, oh, he's covering up something. He probably was a little shaken up, to be honest. You know, he's trying to be friendly in this country. He's walking around like China, like waving, not necessarily waving around like a lunatic, but like holding a Chinese flag, trying to be extremely respectful. And then all of a sudden, like he sees the police lights and they're swarming him, and he has no clue why. To just find out it was a picture he showed on his phone. So I'm not like I don't have anything to really critique about his immediate reaction besides the fact that this is an example of how in certain political cultures, our entire industry of political online commentary could not really exist. It just couldn't. Not only would you have, I would say the worst examples, like the Alex Joneses who come out and just a lot of times peddle lies and fear mongering in order to get attention. Not only would they be unable to broadcast because the government would crack down upon those things, but also people who would be more critical or joking about the government. Just like, I mean, we have had like Egyptian critics and satirists had to flee Egypt because they cannot continue to perform there. China has extreme control of the commentary of its politics and about its popular media. There is a lot of creators in China right now of homosexual content, of, you know, like gay comics and stuff like that. Some might know it as like yaois, even though it's primarily consumed by uh, women, women who want to see the men boink. They're going and they're arresting these creators and getting them to take down all their content and cracking down on it hard, as if this is somehow going to help the fertility rate. Now, maybe their direct regulation on how many children people could have probably had a more significant impact than whether or not you know, some Chinese woman is able to, you know, flip under the covers a book about, you know, two you know, college sweethearts going at it. So it's a very, very different political culture, and I think he really was probably just shaken up by it. Let's listen to what he has to say about it, though. Hasan explains what happens as U.S. cops still much worse than Chinese ones.
Whenever the police showed up, they thought, so that thing that we went to, okay, the flag raising ceremony is not, it's not in focus. Hold on, I'm gonna fix it.
I'm slowing this down because it's sped up, and I just want to hear him like a normal person.
The flag raising ceremony that we went to is not a thing that white people normally go to, right? It's not normally something that like white people attend, right? And I assume that they are probably extra attentive and extra careful about people coming to you know, do some fuck shit. Like, there's a reason why, for example, there were Chinese nationals on each other's backs, right? But I knew that, like, if we did it, we would get called out by cops. Because, like, by and large, especially, like, the government is aware of, like, how they are perceived, or how much, like, you know, anti-Chinese propaganda exists out there. And I think the older people are also aware of it as well. But I think the younger populations in China are, ironically enough, less aware. Like, the younger normies are less aware of the animosity that exists, which shouldn't exist at all, obviously, but unfortunately does. And it's almost entirely one-sided. Entirely designed by America. But yeah, we're white. So as foreigners in China at this like national event rather than an international one, where, as you guys noticed, like they didn't have any like foreigners there at all. He thought he saw something on the phone. Like he thought we were like making a mockery. You know what I mean? They didn't realize that we were swagged out white boys who love China. Are you being?
That's bad, though, isn't it? I mean, like, look, you don't understand. He didn't understand that we love China. I mean, yeah, but let's say you were making a mockery, right? Like, that's insulting. That's bad. If you were just making a joke about, like, this is kind of goofy, dude. You know, that happens when you travel. I hate to say it, but like I go, you know, around the world and I see some things about culture and I say, wow, that's very beautiful, and other things that's goofy as all hell, you know? And that happens with travel. To be completely blunt, okay, you're not gonna go around all of the world and find the beauty in everything. It's like, oh wow, you eat bugs. Wow, that's great. You can keep that. Or like, wow, you know, these Finnish saunas sure are dry. Or like, you can go around and you can find many, many things that, you know, might not be as beautiful to you. And if we're in such a hyper controlled zone where a political commentator who's traveling to a country who has a pretty, I would say, relatively friendly view of China, especially in comparison to other political commentary, I would say just generally speaking, but especially from an American perspective, who immediately have them jump upon you just because you're a foreigner, just because they think they saw something on your phone. And it's not like a silent like walk up like, hey, how's it going? It's just, you know, they got the lights going and it's like, let me see the meme on your phone. Like, would we have the same reaction if it was, say, JD Vance in the meme on his phone when it came to people trying to enter the United States, and they say that these foreigners who are trying to come into America had JD Vance memes on their phone and they were getting stopped at the border. Now, how true and how not true that was, as the government says, oh, it was due to like the drug paraphernalia images on his phone, which seems kind of silly to me. The idea of like, excuse me, this shows you smoking weed in another country. You are a dangerous threat to society. Like, you know, it's pretty ridiculous. But if we treat that as ridiculous and terrible, something that like this, which is like a blatant, like that meme was offensive. Is that offensive? And we all acknowledge it's because the meme's offensive. There's nobody's trying to hide any predilection about, wait, it could have been the drug thing or this or that. And we just say like, oh wait, but we're just like smart white boys who love China. You know, we're down with it. Okay, we're with it, man. We're with Mao. We're not against Mao, okay? We love playing baseball with sparrows. We're all about that lifestyle. And if that's what you want to do in China, okay. But if you're in America and you're saying stuff like America deserved 9/11 and you're getting away with that legally and you get like a 1-month suspension about talking about the most deadly terror attack in American history, and then you shift over to China and like that quick meme gets that type of reaction. I think as a creator, we have like a certain amount of, especially where we want to have control of our ability to broadcast, a certain control of our ability to, you know, speak up for what we believe in, a certain responsibility to just say like, look, I'm broadcasting, I'm joking around. Sometimes we joke around. We're gonna do that. You know, and this country is obviously being overbearing. Like you can explain it away. Like I can say, look, the reason that dude is pretty edgy in those memes is X, Y, and Z. But ultimately, I don't know how much we should be excusing it. I don't know if he even necessarily is excusing it, because he's not saying that it's good that they did it or that it's fantastic that they do it or this is how they should engage with streamers in the future. But it seems to be like, I mean, we were foreigners and we're at a national event, not an international event. And so they're looking at us and he sees something on the phone. So sirens. And like, I understand like how that's police officer got to that perspective, but listing those traits out in a row still makes it sound pretty bad. And I'm not saying this as a dunk on China. I'm just saying, I mean, as a dunk on Hasan. I'm just saying this as if more streamers come to China and do this type of stuff and you have more and more interactions like this, it's going to be a real image problem for China, especially as, you know, streaming is still a growing industry, and especially travel streamers. And I mean, the amount of transparency we're getting into China could greatly increase. And I think the cultural exchange is going to be fantastic for both peoples. But if the entire time we've got people like tamper down, don't talk about that, don't say that, even when you're showing like kind of tacit memes like that, it's little depressing. Be
careful with your words. No, I'm just telling you like it is. Like they thought they were being extra attentive to make sure that, you know, no one is making fun of Mao or anything like that, or the ceremony, and that's what they were that's what it was. It's normal for police to take a close look at foreigners to make sure that white people don't do stupid shit. Yeah, it's just it's a cultural difference, and also they just don't want anyone to pull a fucking Logan Paul or anything like that. How was it resolved? What do you mean? We just like talk to them. We just were like, no, that's not, you know, we're not doing that at all. We're just here to experience the event. You know, I told you would end up in jail. You got lucky this time. Yeah. Okay. Calm down. That's not, you're being ridiculous. This is actually one of the things that I want to show Americans in general, because like people have this like false notion that it's people have this like false notion that it's like they will arrest you for a meme or whatever. It's not like that at all. Okay, calm down.
How is this an example of that? This is an example of they'll arrest you for a meme. Calm down. And he shows a picture on his phone. It's not even a meme insulting China in any way or Mao, but the possibility that it could in some way be in a humorous fashion towards Mao was able to get police lights on within 7 seconds. I mean, they might not be willing to throw like Hasan himself into some cold, dingy room and forget about him. But the idea that, you know, this type of media tour or, you know, exploration of China, or this instance, especially this instance, shows that China would not throw you away for a meme, it doesn't do that, especially since China is disappearing people right now for things like producing homosexual content or for, certain stringent online anti-party commentary. Like, that's not a completely unknown charge to be in China. If you're a foreigner and you come to China, you're going to have to be pretty aggressive usually in order to get arrested, and because they don't want an international incident, they don't want the bad PR, etc. So I think Hasan getting arrested as a foreigner is pretty unlikely unless he did something particularly egregious. But I mean, I don't know if this really proves what he's saying he wanted it to prove. I think he's saying if it proves that if you're a tourist, you'll probably not get arrested for it immediately and thrown in prison. Maybe it proves that. It doesn't prove that you won't get harassed over it. If anything, you prove that you will get harassed over stupid stuff like that as a white foreigner in China. But I mean, this means nothing when it comes to like generalistically in Chinese society.
It's funny because like I've dealt with cops at this point all around the world, as you guys know. So as far as like cops that I've dealt with all around the world, European cops in France, American cops, just European cops in other European countries, and even Japanese cops as well, I will say that it's not even remotely up there. The further west you go, the worse cops get, the more aggressive they get. America being the worst one out of all of them.
I mean, I haven't been to the places he's been. I haven't been to Japan. I've been to Poland. I've been to Finland. I've been to Ukraine. I've been to a few countries. The places that I've been where the cops were worse is Ukraine and Poland. Those would be the two places where the cops were either not as good at their job, they don't have as good as a reputation, or they just do stuff that like just waste your time. I mean, I remember having the Polish border guard people like check my bags like 3 or 4 times over. My goodness. Anyway, yeah, no, I would say Poland and Ukraine definitely top the list, even though Ukraine's improved, which actually kind of grim in grand context. Here's one more thing that he said, because just kept getting asked about it because it did go a little viral. I mean, it is a international streaming incident.
The reality of the matter is, okay, briefly being questioned by a cop outside of Tiananmen Square is, it's a unique moment of stress. It happens, right? But
okay, so kind of confirms our earlier thing of he might have not talked about it immediately and immediately addressed it because he was stressed out. He might have also not did it because he just got the lights pulled on him for like that tiny meme. If he just starts talking about, maybe he just doesn't want to follow up. It could just be that. It could just be like, cops stunted on him a little bit, and he just doesn't want to, restore their ire.
What is so insane to me is that I'm a person who has had altercations with American police. I'm a person who's had altercations with police in European capitals. I've interacted with cops all around the world. I've gone to protests. I've been tear gassed. I've been pepper sprayed. I've been, I've been stun grenaded. Like a stun grenade exploded in my head, near my head, me and March's head, when we were in Los Angeles in my own fucking backyard. And it's so crazy that brief interaction of a bunch of one young Chinese cop / soldier. I don't know if he was a cop or if he was a soldier or not, showing up to be like, what the fuck's on your phone? And having a 1 minute altercation has been blown up into this much more significant thing. I've been detained by my own country, man. I've been detained by my own country, my own country's Customs and Border Protection and Customs and Border Patrol. And we're talking about a cop coming up and being a little aggro. First and foremost, here's the thing. Okay. First things first.
By the way, I remember having to like strip off my shirts and show my tattoos for Customs and Border Patrol. Like I had to strip and make sure I didn't have terror tattoos when I was coming back from Ukraine. They treated me like I was involved in the in Weather Underground a little bit, you know, the light bulb over the middle table and such. My goodness. Um I mean, like, yeah, those what he's talking about is annoying, but this is like a unique experience. Because I know like cops in the United States can commit abuses, but I can't think of, definitely from an American perspective, of the idea of a cop seeing an image of like George Washington from a distance and like coming up and like, foreigner, why do you have this picture of George? It's this a very, like you said, it's a very different culture. So of course it's, when you are somebody who is a content creator for a living, who gives controversial political commentary, that would, if you were as critical of Chinese government as you're critical of your own government, decent chance you would not be able to engage in that type of critique. And you go to a country like that as somebody who is one of the more friendly voices towards China, and in your attempt to make China look good, they engage in this misstep. Yeah, it's going to get some coverage. And again, this is not me saying that we should not have streamers go to China and broadcast and stream anyway, but they should broadcast and stream under the assumption that the Chinese government is going to be looking over their shoulder. And this perspective or goal that he said he had to make people know that the Chinese government's not going to like arrest you over a meme, he did not achieve that. That was not what was achieved. I mean, we have not yet proven that they will put you in jail over a meme, but we have proven that they will jump on you for memeing. So, I mean, it's still not great. It's still not fantastic, and it's bad for China's public diplomacy. I think they need to understand, you know, this is a transparent era, the era of 24/7 broadcasting. If they want the iShow Speeds of the world to come to China and broadcast the beautiful things about China, and there's many beautiful things about China, they also need to be ready for the Hasan pikers who also like them to go there and, you know, show memes that are not offensive to them, right? Before we get anywhere close to another person is in the country and says something maybe actually critical about it. And let me just throw out there, by the way, the threat here isn't that like someone like me goes to China and I say, dictatorship, communism, blomunism, and then everybody like revolts. Nobody's gonna care what the white boy has to say. Okay, I'm gonna be completely honest. They don't want China to be perceived in a bad light. That's the purpose of the censorship campaign. I'm sure that there's some concern that if, you know, foreigners came to the country and spoke, I guess, perfect Mandarin and could like, hey, let's list off all the political prisoners, and I'm sure probably would have been great for public morale, but that's not the main concern. The main concern is the idea of China being portrayed in a way that is unbecoming when they have a huge public diplomacy initiative. So under that goal, I think moments like this are a disservice to what they're trying to achieve. And so if they want to achieve, you know, big gains with streamers, they have to be willing to accept the risks that come with streamers. And if they want it to be authentic in the way that speed streams were authentic, they're going to have to, you know, let go of the reins somewhat and not literally be looking over their shoulder. Or you're going to have streamers trying to like explain as like, oh, you know, I wanted to come to China to show, you know, how they're not going to like mess with you for memes, and they mess with them before a meme. So really, I think the biggest part of the story here isn't like Hasan Piker is part of like a Chinese communist propaganda campaign. It's that even when you have streamers that are friendly with you, if you're so nervous about foreigners being in your country and these other content creators being in their country, that you can't let them really engage in content creation without jumping on them like this. Well, damn, maybe you shouldn't be involved in the game. Maybe China's not ready to open up media-wise to this new wave of content creation, which is a shame, because if they really want to get to a new generation of young people and convince them like China's cool, maybe you should spend your money here to come here, you know, explore China, or, you know, maybe you should, you know, continue to buy things from Weibo, you know, maybe you should XYZ, you know, get back on TikTok. Then they're gonna want to engage with these types of creators, because I'm sorry, like you know, most people who are 19 are not watching 60 Minutes. And so, you know, a 60 Minutes or some sort of travel documentary or some three-letter program segment is not going to be what communicates to these people. These people who are going to be less predisposed to U.S. government narratives about China and previous preconceptions that other generations have had of China from a time where they were not where they are right now. So I would say that if China wants to keep on bringing streamers, they should, let streamers stream. Get off their back. Nobody wants to be trying to show the beauty of China while the whole streaming world is watching you getting Big Brother to bit. Listening to this LARPy talk over and Dylan stream is some crazy shit. Thank you.
Dylan,